By the time I'm filming this, I'm sitting cross-legged on the bed in a peach chiffon dress. My boyfriend is in the bathroom arguing with a liquid eyeliner pen, and there's a pair of size 11 nude heels parked under my vanity like they've always lived here 2 years ago. I would have sworn none of this was remotely possible. I was 36, in what I thought was a very standard relationship with this wonderful, slightly nerdy man named Craigh, who wore sensible black socks and the same 3 pairs of jeans in rotation. I loved him the way you love a favorite hoodie, familiar and safe, something you can throw on without thinking. I didn't know yet that tucked underneath that hoodie was someone who would one day ask me if I thought mauve or berry lipstick suited her better. The seed of it actually started with me. Not him. I've always been drawn to androgyny, to men in eyeliner and nail polish, to drag queens who turn gender into this glittery, dramatic performance. My YouTube history was half makeup tutorials and half drag performances long before any of this happened. I'd watch these transformations where a guy with stubble and dark circles would end up as this impossible creature, lashes like fans, cheeks carved, legs for days in shimmery tights. Something in me hummed at the idea of blending lines, of softness on a body that wasn't expected to be soft, but I filed that away as a quirky interest, not something I'd ever actually live. One night, though, I remember we were folding laundry on the couch. The TV was humming in the background, some cooking show we weren't really paying attention to, and he grabbed one of my lacy boy shorts by mistake. He held them up with this confused little crease between his brows and said, "How do these even function?" I laughed and snatched them out of his hands, and the joke just slipped out. "They'd look cute on you," I said. It was a throwaway line, the kind of teasing thing you say without expecting an echo. But he froze in this tiny, noticeable way. The corners of his mouth twitched, not exactly in amusement, more like he was waiting to see if I was serious. There was a flash of something in his eyes that I couldn't place yet. Curiosity, maybe, or fear of being found out. "Yeah, right," he said. But his voice sounded half an octave higher, like it was trying out a new register. I felt something in my chest spark. Instead of backing off, I leaned into it, trying to sound breezy. "You'd totally rock them. You have good hips." He rolled his eyes and tossed a t-shirt at me, but the topic hung in the air like a scented mist. Later, when he went to take a shower, I found myself staring at my underwear drawer, running my fingers over satiny waistbands and little bows, imagining them on him, not as a joke, not as a dare, as something tender and secret, like a story whispered under a blanket. The next day, the universe gifted me a silly opportunity. It was laundry day again, and he was down to his emergency stash of mismatched boxers. He pulled open his drawer and groaned. "Do I own any actual underwear?" he asked. And before my brain could stop my mouth, I said, "You can borrow a pair of mine if you want." He gave me that look, the one that says he's not sure if I'm kidding. I stared right back, forcing myself to stay calm. "I mean it," I added, trying not to sound like my pulse was pounding in my ears. "They're just fabric. Plenty of guys wear softer stuff, you know. It might even be more comfortable." He laughed once, low and disbelieving. "Is this a thing for you?" That question stopped me. I could have laughed it off. I could have said, "Just teasing." But I didn't want to lie to him, not about this. I took a breath. "I think I'd like it," I said softly. "Seeing you in something of mine. Something pretty. It feels intimate in a way I can't explain yet. If it's too weird, that's okay. But I wanted to say it." He went quiet, leaning back against the dresser, arms crossed. He wasn't recoiling. He was thinking. And that, more than anything, kept me standing there instead of retreating into shame. "Okay," he said finally, and there was a shy smile curling at one corner of his mouth. "Pick something that's, not going to cut off circulation." I practically floated to my drawer. I didn't pick my most delicate lace or anything that screamed lingerie. I chose a simple black microfiber pair, soft and stretchy, with a little scalloped edge that felt like a secret, Only we would notice I handed them over with a ridiculous amount of ceremony, like I was passing him a talisman. "I'll try them," he said, "but I'm showering alone." "That's fair," I answered, even though part of me wanted to sit in the doorway and watch the entire process like a documentary. He disappeared into the bathroom, and I waited on the bed, pretending to scroll my phone. My imagination was having a full-blown parade. 5-10 minutes went by. When the door finally opened, he stepped out in just those black panties and an uncertain expression. They fit. Not perfectly. They clung a little too snugly at the front and sat slightly higher than his usual waistline. But they framed his hips in this unexpectedly flattering way. His legs looked longer, his posture a little altered by self-consciousness. It wasn't that he suddenly looked like a woman. He looked like himself, but with this added layer of softness that made my breath catch. "Well," he said, trying for nonchalance. "You look really good," I managed. Then, because honesty had gotten us here in the first place, I added, "And this is doing things to my brain." He laughed, some of the tension draining out of his shoulders. He turned to look in the mirror, his hand automatically going to the waistband, then pausing as if he liked the way his fingers looked there. "They're actually comfortable," he admitted, surprise coloring his voice. "Weird, but in a nice way." That was the first domino. After that, my browser history got more specific: men's lingerie, panties for men, satin briefs, unisex. I started tucking little things into my online shopping cart for him: a pair of soft, high-cut briefs in a smoky gray, a silky camisole that I convinced myself could be just loungewear. I didn't present it as a fetish or a kink. I framed it as play, as self-expression, as us having this private world inside our relationship where nobody else's rules mattered. A couple of weeks later, we had the conversation. We were in bed, lights low, my head on his chest, sounding out words against his heartbeat. "Hey," I said, tracing circles on his skin, "can I ask you something kind of big?" He hummed, "Sure." "When you wear my underwear, how does it make you feel? Like, emotionally, not just, my butt is less scratchy?" He was quiet long enough that I thought I'd crossed a line. Then he spoke, slowly. "I feel weirdly relaxed," he said. "Like I'm putting on a costume where I don't have to be the same version of myself. It's like a little vacation from being the guy all the time. And I like that you're into it. It makes me feel—" He searched for the word seen, I guess. I swallowed around the lump in my throat. "That's exactly how it feels to me," I answered. "Like getting to see a hidden part of you. I know this isn't what most people expect from a boyfriend, but I kind of love that. I want to explore it more if you do, and if at any point it's too much, you can just say so and we'll stop, promise." He shifted so he could look at me. His eyes were soft, conflicted, vulnerable in a way I didn't see often. "I've actually thought about it before," he admitted, like, wondered what it would be like to go further. "But I never said anything because I figured you'd think I'm a freak." "You're my freak," I said, and he laughed, but there was moisture on his lashes. That's how pantyhose came into the picture. I ordered a pair of sheer nude tights, the kind designed to make legs look like an Instagram filter. When they arrived, I made a whole event out of it. I lit a candle, put on music, laid the tights out on the bed along with another pair of those black panties he liked. "Okay, so," I said, grinning. "Welcome to Stephanie's salon of questionable life choices. Today's package includes soft things and encouraging compliments." He snorted, but he sat on the edge of the bed and let me guide him. Helping him slide the tights up over his calves and thighs was strangely intimate, the nylon hissing softly as it stretched. His leg hair pressed under the fabric, creating this muted, matte texture that I found weirdly beautiful. "They feel strange," he said, flexing his toes once they were on, "like I'm wearing a second skin." "Exactly," I murmured, smoothing my hands up his shins. "You have great legs, by the way. I'm jealous." He blushed. actually blushed, all the way to the tips of his ears. "You're ridiculous." The escalation from tights and panties to full drag wasn't actually that big a leap from there. I started showing him my favorite drag clips, not just as a viewer, but as an invitation. "Look at how they contour the nose," I'd say, or "You'd look amazing with brows like that." One night, after a glass of wine too many, I paused a video of this queen in a cotton candy wig and said, "If you ever wanted to try the whole thing, like wig, makeup, dress, I'd be over the moon to help. I think it could be fun for you. And for me. Mostly for me," I added with a grin. He stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he said almost inaudibly, "What would I even look like?" "Like you," I replied, "just remixed." He didn't answer right away. But a couple of days later, I came home to a tab open on my laptop. Short lace front wigs, size 11 heels, plus size skater dress. My heart did this ridiculous somersault. When he walked in with the groceries, he tried to play it cool, but there was no point pretending. "So," I said casually, "got any opinions on wig colors?" He sighed, resigned and fond. "Apparently I'm a brunette now." I ordered a shoulder-length chocolate brown wig with soft waves, a navy skater dress that nipped at the waist, and a pair of black block heel pumps that looked almost practical if you ignored the height. When the packages arrived, we stacked them on the bed like treasure. I set up my vanity mirror and cleared space on the dresser for the wig stand. The whole room felt charged, like a storm about to break. "Okay, first rule," I told him as he perched nervously on the stool. "You're allowed to stop at any point. Makeup, clothes, wig. If anything feels wrong, say the word. This is supposed to be fun, not a test." "And second rule?" he asked, trying to sound light. "Second rule is that I'm going to hype you up obnoxiously, and you're going to just accept it." The first stroke of foundation onto his face felt almost ceremonial. I watched his features soften under the brush, not because I was erasing his masculinity, but because I was layering possibility over it. I contoured his cheekbones, dusted a bit of blush until he looked flushed and alive, gave him a subtle, smoky eye that made his already long lashes pop. The eyeliner was shaky at first. He blinked too much. We both laughed. I wiped away smudges and tried again. "This is harder than it looks," he muttered, blinking at himself. "Drag queens are athletes," I agreed. "Emotional athletes with better highlighters." When I finally handed him the tube of lipstick, I saw his hands tremble just a little. "You can put it on," he said. "I don't want to mess it up." I leaned in and painted his lips a soft berry shade, plus a bit of gloss in the center. Then I carefully settled the wig over the wig cap, adjusting the part, tucking in stray hairs. The transformation wasn't instant. He still looked like Craigh, his jawline, his eyes, but there was a subtle shift. His face, framed by hair that swayed when he moved, told a different story. "Okay," I said, stepping back. "Look." He turned slowly to the mirror. For a moment, his expression was unreadable. Then I watched it fracture into about 6 different emotions at once. Disbelief, awe, fear, relief. "Oh," he breathed. "Oh, that's me?" "It's you," I said softly. My own throat felt tight. "Do you like her?" He swallowed and nodded, eyes shining. "Yeah, I think I do." We picked a name together, nothing too campy, something simple and real. He tried saying it out loud, testing how it felt in his mouth. I watched his shoulders ease, his posture shifting ever so slightly, not pretending to be someone else exactly, but allowing another facet of himself to exist in the same body. The dress and pantyhose completed the picture. When he stood up, tugging the hem nervously, the tights catching the light over his calves, I felt this rush of affection so strong it almost knocked me over. He did a hesitant turn in front of the mirror, then another, more confident. "I look like your girlfriend," he said, half laughing. "You are my girlfriend," I replied, without missing a beat. "And my boyfriend. I'm greedy." That first full drag night, we didn't go anywhere. We stayed in, both of us in dresses and sheer tights and heels, clomping around the apartment like newborn deer. We made cocktails, danced in the living room, practiced walking back and forth across the hallway without tripping. At one point, we collapsed on the couch in a heap of chiffon and nylon, my head on his lap, his freshly glossed lips leaving faint marks on my forehead every time he kissed me. "Are you okay?" I asked him, somewhere between songs, when the initial high had mellowed into a soft hum. He thought for a moment. "I feel like I've been holding my breath for years, and I finally exhaled." After that, weekends became our transformation time. Friday nights, we'd cook dinner in sweats and talk about what looks we wanted to try. Saturday afternoons, I'd lay out the makeup, 2 sets of pantyhose, our dresses of choice. Sometimes he'd choose something frilly and pastel, a frothy pink dress with a white slip peeking out. Other times he'd go sleek, black wrap dress with sheer black tights and a sharp eyeliner flick. I watched his confidence grow with each application of mascara, each careful step in heels. He started learning to do his own makeup, watching tutorials, sending me screenshots of eyeshadow looks with captions like, "Too extra?" It was never too extra. I started noticing how differently he carried himself when he was dressed up. As her, he laughed louder, gestured with his hands more, tilted his head when he listened. He became flirtier in this playful, harmless way, leaning into the performance of femininity and finding real comfort there. The first time we talked about going out together dressed up, we were sitting at the window, both in soft dresses and tights, watching people walk their dogs on the sidewalk below. "Do you ever want to be seen like this?" I asked quietly. "By other people, I mean, not just me." He chewed on his lip, smudging his lipstick. "Sometimes," he said, "and sometimes the idea makes me want to hide under the bed forever." "I get that," I said. "What if we start small, like a late-night drive or just walking around the block? We don't have to go clubbing right away." He snorted. "I don't know if I'm ready to be a nightclub girl yet." "Double date girl, though," I said, half joking, half testing the shape of the thought. He looked at me. "With who? Your imaginary harem of men?" "I mean," I said lightly, "I wouldn't call it a harem. Maybe just 1 or 2 very respectful, very confused gentlemen who think they're out with 2 girlfriends." He burst out laughing. I joined in. But underneath the joke, the idea took root. I've always had a bit of a thing for men, plural. The notion of us, me and this beautiful, dolled-up version of my boyfriend, going out on double dates with other guys stirred something fizzy and bright in my chest. Not because I wanted to replace him, but because I liked the idea of us as co-conspirators, wing women, a team. We talked about it more seriously a few weeks later when the initial joke had matured into a possibility. Over coffee, barefaced and in sweatpants, I said, "So, about the double date idea? How would you feel if someday we did that? With clear boundaries. Just dinner, drinks, dancing. No pressure for anything more unless we're all very, very comfortable." He stirred his coffee slowly, thinking, "It's not that I'm not interested," he said. "Part of me is. I like the idea of being seen as your girlfriend, I guess, in public. And I like men too, in a way I didn't let myself admit before. But I'm scared." "Of what?" I asked gently. "Of being judged. Of someone recognizing me. Of you changing your mind halfway through and deciding I'm too weird." I reached across the table and took his hand. "I am the one who bought you your first wig," I reminded him. "I'm the one who gets stupidly excited every time you put on pantyhose and a dress. I want this. Not just tolerate it, want it. And if we ever decide to go on those double dates, it'll be because we both feel safe, not because we're trying to prove anything." It took time. These things always do. We started tiny. One night we went for a drive while he was in full drag, his dress smoothed over his thighs, his heels abandoned on the passenger floor. Another night, we stopped at a drive-thru, hearts pounding as we ordered fries at midnight, the cashier calling us ladies without missing a beat. Each little success built a layer of courage. The first time we actually stepped into a bar together was on a cool autumn evening. He wore that navy skater dress, nude tights, and a cardigan that helped him feel less exposed. I chose a floral dress and sheer black pantyhose, my favorite ankle strap heels. We did our makeup side by side, our reflections lined up in the mirror, two women getting ready to go out, at least to anyone looking in from the outside. We didn't have dates that night. It was just a recon mission. But walking into that dimly lit space with him at my side, hearing the clack of his heels on the floor, felt monumental. A couple of guys glanced our way. One gave us a quick, appreciative smile. The bartender called us ladies, too, sliding our drinks across with easy familiarity. I saw my boyfriend's shoulders relax a little more with each interaction that didn't end in disaster. "How do you feel?" I asked, shouting over the music. He looked around, eyes wide, lips glossy under the colored lights. "Like I exist," he shouted back. "Like I'm real." We went home that night buzzing, talking a mile a minute about tiny details. The way the bartender smiled, the woman in the red dress who complimented his earrings, the guy who held the door open for us. Each moment was like proof that the world wouldn't instantly reject us. The actual double date is still in the planning stages as I'm telling you this. We've joined a couple of LGBTQ+ meetup groups, met some sweet, open-minded guys who seem more thrilled than confused by the idea. We talk about it now with excitement instead of dread. Imagine it, I'll say, lying in bed, tracing circles on his bare shoulder. You, in that green dress with the lace hem-me and something matching. Two guys nervously trying to impress us, holding doors, buying us drinks, making sure we get home safe. "Do we hold hands with them?" he'll ask, half teasing, half genuine. "If we want to," I say. "If it feels good, we'll set boundaries together. We're a team, remember?" He always smiles at that. Team pretty girls. As for me, I can't fully describe how happy this makes me. How thrilling it is to spend weekends in frilly dresses and slips and sheer pantyhose, our heels kicked off in the hallway, our wigs perched on stands like resting creatures I love, brushing out his wig at the end of the night, wiping off his makeup, seeing both versions of him in the same face. I love the way his eyes light up when he finds a new dress online. I love that we've created a space where neither of us has to pretend to be just one thing. If there's a point to this story, it's not make your boyfriend wear panties. It's this: listen to the small, strange desires that whisper to you at the edge of your relationship, the ones that feel too weird or too specific or too risky to say out loud. Love is not this static, prepackaged story. It's something you write together, line by line, outfit by outfit. The night I teased my boyfriend about my underwear, I had no idea I was opening a door neither of us knew we needed. Now, on the other side of it, with him debating eyeliner in the bathroom and me adjusting the strap of my slip, it feels like home. We're still figuring it out. How far we want to go, what those double dates will look like, what parts of this we keep just for ourselves. But every time I roll a new pair of pantyhose up his legs, every time he asks me if his lipstick is straight, I'm reminded of one simple, shining truth. I got curious, I got brave, and in doing so, I gave both of us permission to be bigger, softer, stranger, and more ourselves than we ever thought we could be. And that, more than anything, is what makes me so excited and so happy.